That was delicious. Thank you to our musicians. Thank you so much for bringing the spirit, the heart, the love, the life that you are to us on Zoom, which is wonderful, and to us in the room. Yes. Bless you. And to all, and to Holly in the service today, this beautiful conversation about kindness. So today I'm remembering about kindness. That I noticed it requires this vulnerability from me that I don't always want to give. It requires a vulnerability for me to offer kindness. And it requires a vulnerability for me to receive it. And I started noticing as I was meditating and walking with and gathering this week and the concept, the thinking of kindness, when was I ready to be vulnerable, to be kind, and when was I not? When was I willing to receive kindness, and when was I not? And I ask you all to just simply take that in and reflect on that. We think of kindness as something that's an act that we do. And rather, I propose to you that the reason it's harder than we think it should be is because honestly, it's a gift of ourselves in loving. It's a gift of ourselves to be present to another human in such a full way that we see them. We see that there's a need. We see there's a way we could contribute, and that we become willing to allow ourselves to be a conduit for the presence of holiness, the presence of love. We cannot do that when we have a brick wall in front of us or some barbs around our hearts. Now, certainly we can give. We can give money, we can give anything to someone without that openness. But when it becomes kindness is when it actually opens you as much as it opens the other. I reach past my self-interest and I reach into the other. I see through your eyes and I lose a sense of my self-concern for a moment. And then the reason that's so necessary is that I must be willing to be rejected in my offering. I must be willing to have the other person not receive my kindness. And that is very vulnerable. There is no assuredness that my ego will like this or even exist if someone doesn't receive my kindness. Have you had that experience? Have you been on the receiving end and not wanted to receive, been unwilling to receive a kindness? Why? We wonder. It's the very vulnerability of kindness that feels within it as strength. It permeates our human protective suit that we walk around in every day. When we see the homeless man, woman, or child on the corner with a sign, and all our skepticism wants to ask questions like, what will they do with this money? Are they really homeless? We've heard all these thoughts go through our mind, but do we actually unroll our window, look them in the eye, see them, and share a kindness with them, whether you don't have a penny to give, but are you willing to connect? with that person, that human, that essence of life of God, just as you? Are we willing? I'm not always willing. The barbed wire sometimes is wrapped around me, or I'm afraid that they might reach into my car, or something, maybe some nonsensical fear that's showing up, but I feel it and I step back, just hesitate. The light turns green and I'm gone. And I feel this tug and this pull within me, like, I wish I would have been the person to have done that. Next time I'll remember. When I was in my 20s and I lived in New York City, I was on the subway and I had committed myself to giving in a really big way. And it was a cold, freezing cold day, and the subway underground was freezing cold. And there was a woman who really, really could use some help standing in front of me as I walked down the stairs. And first I had to decide to open my wallet in the subway, which when I was living in New York wasn't always the easiest thing to decide to do. I just couldn't stand there with her and not give her something. On this day, I was full. On this day, something larger was in the space with me. Something larger. Ah, my interior self, my full self, my God self, my self that is sourced from the one, present with me, reached out and took my wallet out of my bag. Took my wallet out of my bag. And looked inside. In my 20s, I didn't really have any money except rent and maybe a pizza slice on the way home from work at night. They were $1, thank God. And I looked in my wallet and there was only a $20 bill. And I was terrified. Now what am I going to do? And again, the fullness of who I am showed up. And somewhere from the deep reaches inside me that knows truth said to me, this is your gift of kindness. It's not a gift of money. And so I gave it to her. I did still have some fear. I gave it to her. But as you can tell, I did not starve, and I did continue to live a very full and beautiful life. After that, in that moment, I had to choose what was more important to me. My heart, the calling to just give to this woman who was just so lovely and so on her own. And I had no other idea except that I knew she was homeless from her circumstances. And reaching across my sort of small egoic self and all the fears and all the tendencies for survival to give away a piece of something that felt bigger, but from so fully from my heart, and handing it to her. And this gift was received with such gratefulness, with such shock. I mean, I guess $20 was actually worth a lot more in the 80s than it is now. Now I remember my mother saying things like that to me and me laughing. Now I know what she meant. But it didn't matter anymore because I had received the most glorious gift of her smile and the sparkle in her eye and the beauty of being known by another as who I really am. I am kind and I am generous. I am loving and I see you and value you. This act of kindness And the vulnerability that it requires of us is life. It's aliveness that flows through us and as us. One of the pieces of this kindness, this random acts of kindness, that we call them, is the surprise in it, is the vulnerability in it, is the sort of shock value of someone giving you something that is so unexpected and so not deserved, and yet confirms your holiness and your humanity. Are you remembering these moments for yourself? The reverence to another human, to an animal, to a tree, to anything in this universe that you turn your full attention to and give with the fullness of the call. Please love me. And you do. Please remind me that I'm not alone. Please remember me and remind me of my humanity when I can't remember. There is nothing more holy than seeing with reverence the beauty of another life and watching that life spring forward as you see it and as you give it the gift. As I handed that $20 bill to this beautiful, beautiful essence of life, her life sprang alive within her. Her eyes sparkled, her heart pounded. We smiled and shared a laugh. 8:00 in the morning, freezing cold, New York City winter day. Dark, smelly subway. And we shared an instant of eternity. That gift is available to all of us every single day. Every single day. We become one. We remember with the vitality of life, the sparkling crispness of the moment when we come alive. In each other's eyes, in each other's hearts, in the fullness of the spirit connecting to itself through two people, two spirits, two loves, sizzling, sparkling with life. This is the impact that your life can have. You and I together give aliveness into the world. If you're wondering if you can make a difference, this is a difference. You can give aliveness to another being. You can remind people of their holiness. You can bless them by simply being the blessing. Everything, all the gifts of the universe, as we know, flow through us. As we acknowledge that, as we bless the world with that, here we stand, the fullest, richest, most abundant humanness that you can imagine, as you, as me, as us. And we trade this moment of vulnerability. Here's my gift. Will you receive it? Here is my receiving. Will you receive it? And so, as we've been talking about kindness, I invite you to remember the impact that you have in these moments, the aliveness that you light in another being, the way that we can walk together and lift with music, with song, with words, with heart, with money, with a flower, with the universe is giving that to you in every moment. You are surrounded by kindness. The tiny little plant that pops up through the sidewalk crack and gives you a tiny little yellow flower on your walk in the morning. That is the universe giving you aliveness and kindness. You are so full. We are so full of aliveness. If we are just so willing to cross into the land of the vulnerability of being alive, answer the call as it comes to us anywhere our attention is called. And a gift of our attention, and then whatever comes with our attention. Be willing. Let us be willing to be kind, especially, as we say, especially now. But it's always been especially now. Our humanness surrenders into the divinity of who we are. The power surges forth from who we are. The abundance, the love, the wholeness, the kindness, the care, the compassion, everything that we are, all the capacities of God come forward in the invitation to connect with kindness. And as it is received, the spark of life is once again reimagined. Be the spark of life in this world. Look for the moments. Give yourself the delicious morsels of kindness. They come simultaneously. As you give, you receive. As you give, you receive. As you give kindness, you receive the entire universe of love. You become one. You become source. And all is well. This is the grand and glorious invitation to you. Loving, permeating the world around you. The world is not hopeless. We are here, and we are what the world is waiting for. One blessing, one kindness, one vulnerability at a time. I love you all. I have received so many kindnesses, so many stories in my heart from each and every one of you. Thank you for your blessings, and I return them to you. Thank you for your care. Thank you for your love. Thank you for answering this call from the universe to become alive in your vulnerability. And thank you for joining each other at the end of the service today and taking a moment to be kind, to share kindnesses, to share your stories, to love each other. That is the coin of the realm. And love is the answer. Thank you.